This is Joy News, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Welcome to Joy News Prime with me, Emefa Apawu. In our headlines, the current financial situation climbs to the top. MP suggests Parliament seeks 2 days per week to manage fuel price hikes.
The activities so that instead of 4 days, we come like 2 days in a week in order to be able to save on the amount of money we are using for fuel.
We have details as Majority Leader Osechi Mensah shoots down the calls, warning that will affect or have dire effect on productivity.
When we are in dire circumstances, that is when we are called upon to increase productivity. And for a member of Parliament to say that we should work in just 2 days in a week, the Speaker, that is a very apocalyptic declaration.
We hear from some Ghanaians who say they are making part of their journeys on foot as transport fares reach unbearable levels.
It's really affecting because when you take 20 cedis for only transport a day, it's too much.
Also coming up, government budgets to spend $14 million at the 2022 World Cup, with sports minister assuring that despite the current economic hardships, it is worth it.
We estimated a combined expenditure for the tournament at $14,184,100 United States dollars. I want to assure the entire country that in these difficult economic challenges that we face, every penny will be used judiciously.
We have details as both minority and majority leaders pledge the support of Parliament to the team.
Ghana, it will be a tough test for the Black Stars, but they should survive the test with our country's support, with technical and tactical discipline. Speaker, that team that has it could always beat the best team in the world.
Education in public institutions grinds to a halt as tutors from the basic to tertiary levels lay down their tools nationwide.
We have been compelled, under the current circumstances, to publicly communicate to Ghanaians on our intention to go on strike, having reached the November 4th deadline we gave the government.
And at the top of the hour 8, Samuel Kojo brings us business.
Now, bulk oil distributors assures customers are reducing fuel prices if the city stabilizes as they reject claims of profiting from the current economic challenges.
The product supply will be there, but availability is one issue. Affordability is something that we can guarantee.
We should be assured that in terms of shortage, there wouldn't be till end of year to first quarter.
In as much as you are paying the right price.
Musbao follows closely with Prime Sports.
Black Stars head coach Otuado finally names his 55-man provisional team for the 2022 FIFA World Cup, with 3 local players included.
We have that and more coming up this evening. And also later in the bulletin, we cross over to Perez Dome for Adum Praise 2022, which is currently underway. You want to stay for that and more here on Joy News Prime, live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 144. Many thanks for your company once again. Please stay for details. Let's dig in now, shall we? And Member of Parliament for Esuojaman constituency, Thomas Ampemnyako, says Parliament must sit for only 2 days a week to allow MPs save money on the current crushing prices of fuel. MPs currently sit for 4 days in a week, but the NDC MP says MPs are struggling to cope with the rising cost of fuel and urge leadership of the House to consider cutting down on the days of sitting. Parliamentary correspondent Kwekwa Sante has the rest of the story from the House.
The fuel prices crisis is biting hard, and politicians are feeling the pinch just like the ordinary Ghanaian. On Thursday, Adamsia Sokwa MP KT Hammond said he nearly fought with a fuel station attendant over the prices.
It's difficult now. My understanding is that all these things have been factored into the pricing formula now, and yes, we still find ourselves where we are now. Tell you something horrific. A few days ago, I went to the garage, pumped a fuel into the car, and the bloke came up and gave me a bill. It was almost a third world war at the garage, at the station. Why is he giving me this?
On Friday, NDC MP for Isuojaman, Thomas Ampemnyako, called on leadership to revise the current number of days for sittings so that MPs can cope with the rising fuel prices.
Pack the activities so that instead of 4 days, we come like 2 days in a week in order to be able to save on the amount of money we are using for fuel. Because, Mr. Speaker, the day before yesterday, I went to the oil filling station at Lagos. My light was on and I asked them to fill my tank. I got down to the shop to buy something. When I came back, 3,000 cedis was my bill. 3,000, Mr. Speaker. I had 2,100. I had to call my colleague, Honorable Jaja, to send me money through the Momo that I'm avoiding to use before I was able to pay my bill. The
majority leader, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, was not pleased with this suggestion. He was outright. This was not a position he will consider due to the impact on productivity.
When we are in dire circumstances, that is when we are called upon to increase productivity. And for a member of parliament to say that we should work in just 2 days in a week, the Speaker, that is a very apocalyptic declaration from the member of parliament. What will be the effect on national productivity? This call that you are making. And what will be the effect on GDP? I think that really is an unfortunate call on us.
The reaction on the floor after that MP made the proposition that MPs should be sitting twice in a week seemed to have garnered some support from MPs. Now that the majority leader has shut down the proposition, Ghanaians will be looking up to the government to do something to cushion them. As to what exactly government will do, it will be interesting to see what they do in the coming days. For Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, some Ghanaians say they can no longer afford the now expensive transport fares and are now making part of their journey on foot. Transport fares have been increasing in some cases 3 times a day in response to the high cost of fuel, spare parts and general hardship in the country. At some terminals, passengers and drivers were engaged in arguments. There's more in the following report by my colleague Hannah Odame.
From January 2022 till date, transport fares have been increasing almost every quarter. So has the margins been for petroleum products. This has not enthused motorists and commuters who say they are at their wits' end.
Madam, we told unit, we to banker, light bill, water. And it's a mayor Jumana, me didn't have a thought is there. I didn't say I'm in Jumano. I mean, like private like by this time, I mean call like 3 and 4.
According to him, he's been in this business for the past 40 years. He has never for once seen this astronomical increase in transport fares for the past 40 years that he's been working. He also says that by this time of the day, he would have at least gone to Wireless and back to Circle at least 2 or 3 times. But at the same time today, he's just gone once and he's still in his vehicle. No one is coming to sit in, no passenger. Why? Because he says now the passengers are walking. When I asked him what he thinks that government can do to support them, he says he thinks government can actually do nothing, because if government could have done something, government could have done it by now. He is actually asking Ghanaians to pray, because the way the situation is as at now, he thinks it is only prayer that solves it. Otubia, a father of 3 who drives a Volvo, says he cannot afford to fuel his vehicle any longer and has therefore resorted to using public transport, which he thinks is relatively cheaper.
Normally I drive cars, but because of the fuel prices, I have to come into the trotro, and even now in the trotro, it's not an easy affair at all.
How much did you have to now spend on fuel that you have to pack?
Depending, but look, I have children, younger children, and I can't spend 200-300 cedis a day around Accra when my children have to eat. I can't even provide for them adequately. So it's a very difficult life.
Some persons who already have been patronizing public transport say they now have to trek half of the journey.
Oh, it's really affecting because when you take 20 cedis for only transport a day, it's too much.
At the heart of this is bus conductors who have had to bear the brunt of passengers. One of them, Richard, says he's received several insults from passengers due to the fares.
Oh, it's a idea of a patrol. Yes, it's a patron full car beam. Obi was or shut up at the G.
These vehicle owners, some of whom say they've been driving for more than 2 decades, say they are considering changing jobs.
Me who be that. And the everybody is also there annoying.
For Joy News, I am Hannah Odami.
Well, there's a call for an increment in fare charges for online drivers as recent research reveals that most of these drivers make an average of 112 cedis lost daily. According to the research conducted by Fair Work Ghana in collaboration with the GIZ Ghana and its partners, costs such as fuel, spare parts, and poor conditions of service are responsible for the worsening condition of drivers. The research findings are, among other things, calling for an increase in fares and improved terms of agreement to alleviate the plight of these hail riders. The Fair Work Ghana Ratings 2022 was launched today at the University of Ghana. James Kwesi Avedi reports.
The research sampled 10 ride-hailing and delivery service platforms. In this year's ratings, only 2 out of the 10 platforms are doing fairly well in terms of fair pay, fair conditions of service, contracts, driver representation, and fair management decisions.
Under fair pay, which is about checking whether the platforms have paid their workers at least the minimum wage, and to the next extent, whether they are getting, the platform workers are getting a living wage. We found that none of the 10 platforms we scored could ensure that the workers earn at least the minimum and local living wage after the workers deduct all their costs from what they earn for the trips that they make. If you take an average earning of 350 Ghana cedis a day, a driver making 350 Ghana cedis a day, we assume that the driver will buy fuel of 160 Ghana cedis. I don't think this is even half tank. It's not half tank as of today, it's not. So he buys 160 Ghana cedis. You have to go and pay the car owner 75 Ghana cedis a day, coming to 450 Ghana cedis over the week. The platform will take their commission, 20% or 25% in some cases. That will be 87 Ghana cedis. The workers have to buy data so they can connect the driver application and also sometimes make phone calls. So we are assuming you spend 10 Ghana cedis. They have to pay for maintenance. Let's say you change some oil, buy a few things for the car, and other miscellaneous costs. The total will come to 462 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos. Meanwhile, he has earned 350 Ghana cedis. So that day, the driver makes a loss of 112 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos.
The researchers say a call for an increase in fares charged by drivers is in the right direction.
We expect platforms to be malleable, to change when the conditions change, but it looks like there has to be some price control as they are calling for at Makola Market. We may have to also introduce some on platforms. And it has to be established in law that at least the minimum wage should be established, that platform workers have to earn at least the minimum wage on from their labor.
Some drivers also explained how the recent economic challenge is affecting their business.
As we speak now, my car is still blinking. I bought 90 cedis. It's just 5 liters. That 5 liters cannot take you half a day. I mean, so we really, really are struggling. And what we are pleading for is a regulatory body that can, at least sit down, bargain with them, talk to them, and think of the riders and then the drivers as well, so that we can all at least break even, because we know everywhere is difficult.
10 cities per delivery. So by the end of the month, so the time times 250 orders, you see, maybe so 2,500. Yeah, I think you would see that it's big money. But when you go into the expenses, before you finish, it's like the fuel.
Well, President Akufo-Addo says it is his responsibility to fix the current economic challenges. This declaration comes at a time when there is growing pressure on him and his Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to resign. Dubbed Kumipreko Reloaded, a cross-section of the citizens led by legal practitioner Martin Pebu are set to hit the streets Saturday morning to make this demand sound as loud as possible. The protest draws inspiration from the original Kumipreko protest, which had President Akufo-Addo as one of its leaders 27 years ago.
Leaving citizens distressed. If I fell first, it was 350, but right now almost 600 Ghana cedis. If I fill this car, yeah. How is it? Well, I don't make money. I don't make money. You know, sometimes you would drive. Sometimes you would drive all day, and even fuel money, you will not get.
We are feeling it, and the rate at which it is increasing. That is our problem.
His cousin and finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been under pressure to step aside, but he remains at post.
Now we are running a democracy.
Well, Nana must go. That's the resolve of private legal practitioner Martin Pebu as he announces all is set for a massive protest dubbed Kumipreko Reloaded in the next 24 hours. The outspoken critic of President Akufo-Addo says the wanton corruption and mismanagement gives a clear indication that Ghanaians can no longer wait until the end of his 4-year term. Martin Pebu says after Saturday's protest, the president, together with his vice, ought to leave office in order to pave way for the constitutional provisions for his
starving, all because of malgovernance by President Akufo-Addo. It's never happened that you have a president in office and every time that the country borrows, the president's family becomes richer. How? Every time the country borrows, the president's bank becoming richer all the time. The country becomes poorer and data bank becomes richer. This, without more, is sufficient for President Akufo-Addo to resign. You see how the incentive to borrow, because his family will become richer, has led us to overborrow, and today our cedi has totally collapsed. That now, when you need $1, you need at least 14 Ghana cedis. When at the beginning of the year, $1 was just 6 cedis, 40 pesos. This has never happened. And so to that extent, based on Article 35 of our Constitution, which asks for probity, accountability, etc., which are also repeated in the preamble of the Constitution, citizens have a duty, as stated in Article 41, to ask the president to resign. And this is not the first time that a president of Ghana is going to resign. In actual fact, in the 60s, Lieutenant General Ankara resigned over a matter of 6,000 Ghana cedis that he's alleged to have used to bribe somebody organizing an opinion poll so that he can be declared as the most popular person in Ghana. You say, so, right? And Article 60, Clause 13 makes it clear that when the president and the vice are gone, the speaker must take office for only 3 months. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, for only 3 months. And within that 3 months, the Electoral Commission must organize fresh elections. So it means that we'll have a new president within the 3 months. That's to say that today, 4th November, if President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia were to resign, it means that latest by 4th of February, a new president will be sworn in. So we would have had the elections and a new president sworn in. And look, people of Ghana, please, let's not despair. Let's go for it. Let Akufo-Addo and Bawumia resign. Look, you'll be amazed at how the international community will welcome this new development, that our democracy would have been strengthened, that the president would have listened to the cry of the masses and resigned. And as a result of this, you'll be amazed at how much goodwill we will gain. Our debt, the new president can renegotiate for extension and all the other things that it will require. Trust me, when such a momentous event occurs.
Meanwhile, security analyst Adib Sani has been giving some security guidelines for Saturday's event.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is also important to note that it is not in our interest to have this protest getting marred by violence, because in the end, it would divert opinions from the main crux of the matter to the violence, and would ensure to the very best of our ability that it is peaceful. So I wish to appeal to all those attending to obey instructions. We need to use the route. We are not supposed to use any other route beyond what has been agreed on. So we avoid situations where protesters might, confront the police or vice versa. Let me also appeal that no one should come to the protest site with any offensive weapon, whether it is a sharp-pointed object or even a gun. Do not bear arms.
Well, in the wake of the calls for President Akufo-Addo to go, he's been taking responsibility for the harsh current economic conditions and says he will fix it. Now, the Black Stars' participation in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar will cost the country $14 million if the team gets to the semi-final at least. According to the Youth and Sports Minister, Mustafa Yusuf, despite the current economic difficulties facing this country, this expenditure is absolutely worth it.
Our group stages participation in the tournament, covering 3 games against Portugal, Uruguay, and South Korea. Our group stage appearance will cost us as a nation an estimated amount of $8,166,200 United States dollars. With our side firmly fixed on progressing throughout the knockout stages, and I'm delighted to give more good news. Mr. Speaker, progressing from the group stage to the round of 16th will increase Ghana prize money from $9 million to $13 million. At this stage, our expenditure is likely to increase to $8,792,600 United States dollars. Mr. Speaker, when we progress from the round of 16th to quarterfinals, the prize money will also increase from $13 million to $17 million. At this stage, our expenditure will also likely to increase from the $8,792,600 to $9,512,200 United States dollars. If we progress from the quarterfinals to the last 4, Ghana stands to receive $27 million United States dollars to $42 million US dollars. At this stage, we estimated a combined expenditure for the tournament at $14,184,100 United States dollars. This estimated expenditure includes appearance fees, bonuses, per diem, flight arrangement, medical equipment, logistics, and hospitality.
Well, details of that will come up when my colleague Musbao comes up at 8:30 with more on the 55-man squad that has been named by Coach Akufo-Addo. But in the meantime, in all this, it looks like we need Christ, and he's certainly at work at Adum Praise Festival 2022. It's Christ at work at the Perez Dome, and my colleague Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson is there for us and joins us with all the details. Well, carry it away.
And currently, the person you're hearing the stage currently is Pepra, who is lifting up the place. It is so electrifying. People just can't hold themselves. The place is filling up so fast, and it's an exciting show at Adum Praise inside the Perez Dome here at Jowunu. It's been an amazing night, already electrifying, and everybody is having fun. In fact, COVID and we couldn't hold it. But this time around, people are embracing the program so much so that it has become an intense atmosphere, as you can hear. There are people you can find out right behind me. The people are praising and worshiping. They are always singing and having fun. I want to walk into the crowd and then try and speak to some of the people and find out how they are enjoying themselves. Hello, how are you enjoying the program?
So far so good. It's the best I have been so far.
Hello, gentlemen, how's it been for you?
It's been awesome. It's been awesome. I'm really blessed that I'm here. God bless you. God bless you, Adum TV. I'm really blessed. God bless you.
So, as you can see, people are having fun here at the Peresto. And let me speak to this mother of two. How are you doing, lady? I'm good. How has it been for you so far? How are you enjoying it?
I'm worshiping my maker this evening with my family.
Yeah. And everybody's enjoying it.
Oh, really? Yeah, we are enjoying the program.
Who did you come with?
I come with my family, my son,
Right, and so here at the Peresto, it is fun, it is electrifying, people are having fun. Now, of course, we're also here to have fun. So if you're home and you're not here yet, you better make your way to the Peresto Chowulu and come and praise God with us. Back to you to the studio, Emefa Apawu.
That's my colleague, Mami Esinyamiche Thompson, having all the fun there. And definitely Christ is at work at our Doom Praise Festival. Let's make our way there right after Joy News Prime. Let's take a quick break. We're right back. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, a 12-year-old boy has allegedly been shot by his uncle on a farm and secretly buried the same day under the cover of darkness at Mankuma, a suburb of Bole district in the Savannah region. Joy News sources in the community reveal that on Sunday, 29 October 2022, the mother of the deceased left him under the care of his uncle, who later picked him up on a motorcycle to the farm with a locally manufactured gun fully loaded. The statement indicated that the deceased uncles later returned home with the information that the boy climbed a tree, fell and broke his neck, resulting in instant death. Savannah Regional Correspondent Isaac Nonya joins us via Zoom with details of this incident. Isaac, have you seen the mom and what state is she in, you'd say?
Yes, the mom has been seen and she has been relocated to Bole, the capital of the district. The incident happened that the woman was married into the same house, gave birth to the said boy.
Oh dear. It appears we are losing Isaac Nonya there, a terrible network connection. But as he's telling us, he's been interacting with the mother of the deceased and she's been relocated to Bole. And it looks like Isaac Nonya is back on the line with us. Isaac, you're telling us about the state of the mother. And while at it, you can tell us if the uncle has also been arrested.
The uncle is to be arrested because the thing is still more or less secret within the community. But those residents who are aware and have got a signal of what was happening started calling people and giving the information out. As we speak, the other small young boy who was with the group is one that said, no, he was there. He saw what happened. The boy didn't die, didn't fall from the tree. So there was something he won't keep quiet. As we speak, we are told that some military intelligence within Bole Township have taken over the community, while their counterparts from the regional police command are yet to join them. For the moment, the other man who raised the alarm upon seeing the corpse in the farm said, no, this doesn't resemble somebody who fell from the tree. Tell us the truth. And according to the eyewitness, the uncle owned up by saying that, oh, the gun that were in his possession was triggered by the deceased, and then the bullet came out and then hit him from behind through the neck, and then he died instantly. And this was counted by the second young boy who was with the team. And when they brought the corpse home, that was where the whole thing became mega, because the undertakers who wanted to bury the corpse before burial came in and the uncle protested. So the team that went with him to the farm to pick the body were quiet, and that actually opened up that, look, there was something amiss. So the mother was called in. He didn't see the cops. The cops were buried before he came to the scene, and that was where the alarm was raised. But you know, as neighbors within the same community, everybody is careful as what to say and not to say. The uncle has bolted from the community, and the mother has been taken to Bole to be with some family for the meantime.
Okay, that's my colleague Isaac Nonya there with that rather disturbing news there in Bole. But I'm sure it's a matter that the police is following up on, and as and when we get further details, we'll bring that to you. Now on to some other stories, and 3 teacher unions in the pre-tertiary education sector, Ghana National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT. We also have the Graduate Teachers and Coalition of Concerned Teachers, Ghana. They've declared an indefinite strike effective Friday, November 4, 2022, in response to the appointment of Dr. Eric Nkansa as the Director General of the Ghana Education Service. They've been raising concerns about his appointment at a press conference earlier.
It was from this background that we made our reaction known on the dismissal of the Director General of the Ghana Education Service and subsequent appointment of a banker as an acting Director General, contrary to the substantive and procedural rules of our collective agreement, which was signed in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, it must be stated that the Director General's position is the preserve of educationists and has been occupied by educationists since its creation in the 1974 to date. Therefore, the appointment of a banker instead of educationists is a manifestation of lack of confidence in teachers and to manage their own affairs and disregard the establishment scheme of service and progression within the Ghana Education Service.
Well, NAGRAT President Angel Kabonu explains that aside the appointment of someone they deem as unqualified, there are several issues that need to be addressed.
They include the issues and problems and challenges of promotions, upgrading of teachers who have gone to take courses to upgrade themselves to levels and have not been put on their right scale by the Ghana Education Service. The failure and refusal of the Ghana Education Service and the government of Ghana to pay car maintenance allowance, and let me inform you that the last time car maintenance allowance was paid was in 2018. We have information that monies have been released for car maintenance allowance, but the monies have not been paid to the teachers, and let me say again, since 2018. Then also, with the onset of the free senior high school and the double track, the time period or the timetable of schools were changed from a trimester to a semester. And the period of teaching was also changed from 40 minutes to 1 hour. We have called on the ministry that with immediate effect, we should change back to the status quo of trimester and also 40 minutes to allow our teachers to have rest after a long period of teaching. I want to inform you that since the beginning of that program, there are some set of teachers who have never had a holiday.
Well, the minority on the Education Committee have waded into this. They want the Education Minister, Dr. Yawasi Educhum, to immediately resolve the concerns of the teachers at the basic level who've actually declared that strike. We can hear from Peter Nochukotoi.
Let me begin by saying that some of us were not happy with the circumstances that surrounded the dismissal of the former Director General, that is Professor Mankwa. We have worked with him and we know what he could do and what he was doing. But unfortunately, we are not the appointing authority. So they knew why they removed him. And why we're not happy was that this man had about a few months to go on retirement. So the best could have been ask him to go on retirement prior to retirement. But this was not done. So we are not quite happy with that. But with the appointment of the Director General, that is Dr. Eric Nkansa, as a committee or as an individual, we don't have a hand in it. Yeah, so it is solely the government. But the dimension it has taken now gives us a concern as far as teacher unions declaring a strike from today, 4th of November, yeah. So I would rather call on the Minister for Education to engage the teacher unions and explain to them the rationale behind the appointment of Dr. Eric Nkansa. So as a committee, we have decided that we will sit back now, watch events, and then where we realize that there is no solution, then we will come in. But we believe that the minister can do something about this as quickly as possible, because the strike action will not help anybody.
This is Joy News Prime, and it's time for Joy News Editorial with Joy News editor Araba Kumsing.
Now, for some weeks, Joy News Editorial has been calling on the president to address the nation on the state of the economy and also galvanize the nation in these hard times where the economy has taken a nosedive and is taking all of us down with it. So we, like many others, looked forward with great anticipation to the president's address last Sunday. But did the president calm tempers? Did he tame the boiling rage in us ignited by the terrible state of the economy? We all know that on Tuesday, fuel prices went up. Diesel sells at almost 24 cedis per litre and petrol at almost 18 cedis per litre. A litre of fuel is higher than the minimum wage of 13.50 pesos. And when there's a hike in fuel prices, the rippling effect is not lost on us. The GPRTU has warned it will pass on the cost to passengers if the government does not find ways of cushioning the public. It has gotten so dire that commercial drivers in the Ashanti, the Central, and Ahafo regions are prepared to park their vehicles because they're making losses. Car owners have resorted to parking their vehicles too, so that they can join trotros.
I drive my car, but now I can't afford the petrol.
What kind of car, if you don't mind?
I drive a Volvo salon car, Volvo 50. Yes.
So, back to the issue of the president's love letter delivered to the homes of Ghanaians. Did it do the magic? I guess you all have your own opinions, but here is our take on the key ones and some questions on our minds. He delivered 12 strategies to resolve our economic challenges. Let's go through them, shall we? Now, number one, the president said government will restore economic stability through an IMF-supported program. But when will the deal be completed? And when will the money come? There's still a lot of uncertainty, and as we speak, it is not clear when the budget will be presented. Any further delay buries us further. Number two, tackling the cost of living by stabilizing petrol prices through a new supply arrangement. Where are we getting this reliable yet affordable fuel from, and when are we going to get it? We understand the government delegation is in Abu Dhabi, but some energy experts say this is an exercise in futility. So essentially, we might not be getting it. Number three, encourage traders to tone down on profiteering, which is contributing to inflation pressures. Well, does it look like this is happening? Because when fuel prices went up on Tuesday, everything went up. Now, number four, restore debt sustainability by reducing the debt to GDP ratio to 5.5% by 2028. Mr. President, your tenure ends in 2 years. Of course, we all want our debt to GDP ratio to reduce, but how do we continue to survive before 2028? Number five, improving national resources and liquidity by raising revenues from 13 to 18 to 20% of GDP. You talked about increasing revenue and reminded us that we are not paying enough taxes. But that is not what Ghanaians want to hear at this time. Might I remind you of what you said in opposition?
It is Sikaso, Omenyo Hiamai. Nenam a memoir enquitino. A come there. yɛayɛ mmɔbɔ wɔ Ghana. Yɛte sika so, ɔma ɛnyɛ ohia man. Ɛnam amamu a ɛnkɔ yie nti no, ɛkɔm de yɛn.
So, to it, you said we were sitting on money and yet we were hungry. You said you will move our economy from taxation to production. So, what have you been doing for the past 6 years? Yes, we know about the 1D, 1F, but what is the contribution of all these factories to our economy? We've talked about cutting down on our imports. How are these factories helping us to reduce our imports? And then again, why is the Commander Sugar Factory still not functioning? Let's continue. Number 9, continue with efforts to reduce central government expenditure through budget cuts of 30%. That's a good call. Unfortunately, we still don't know how much we raked in from your earlier cuts. We need to know. And speaking of cuts, when you are hungry, that is not the time to live large. We're in extraordinary times. Mr. President, please merge some of the ministries and do away with some of the ministries. Ground all V8s and let your government workers use fuel-efficient cars. This is the time to cut costs. The late Tanzanian President, Magufuli, he did it even when his country was not in crisis. So you can do it. Number 10, you talked about starting the process of discouraging the importation of rice, poultry, vegetable oil, and fruit juice, among others. Mr. President, that is welcome news. But the poultry business has been suffering for a very long time. Many poultry businesses have folded up. How are you supporting them to stand on their feet urgently so that they can produce enough so that we wouldn't need any further imports? Now, on the matter of our currency, the cedi, this is what you said.
Fellow Ghanaians, as the French would say, l'argent n'aime pas le bruit. To wit, money does not like noise. Sika mpe dede.
Sika mpe dede indeed. Mr. President, when the country prospers, we will all relish and bask in your success. No one takes joy in speculating and running down our currency. People are simply panicking. That's what's happening. True, we don't have to run down our currency, but you must do more to calm the nerves of Ghanaians and, more importantly, to cushion us in these times. Togo is subsidizing fuel to keep inflation low. Tanzania is also doing the same. Other countries are doing more. Mr. President, you can do better. You can do more. We said, or you said, that we should never relent in holding politicians to account. These were your own words.
And their political leaders will see people who come to tell them, if you give me the power, we will do this and do this and do this. And that the people, when they get the power, do it. A situation whereby promises are made are not kept, undermine our prospects for orderly, stable, democratic government in our country. That is why it is important that the promises that we made to the Ghanaian people, we begin to fulfill them.
And that is why we will not relent in ensuring that you serve us better.
And that's Joy News editorial with Joy News editor Araba Kumson. A word to the wise, they say, is always enough. And that's how we wrap up Joy News Prime for today. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com apps. And up next is Prime Business with Samuel Kujobrace. Please stay. Have a good evening.